For Zach Shrewsbury, our federal government is not listening to the needs of West Virginians. The Marine Corps veteran says he has his thumb on the working class, so he decided to throw his hat in the ring for Senate.
People in West Virginia need a fighter, not someone that just obeys corporate interest. You need someone that actually represents us.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure that you are incredibly busy right now with only a week to go.
I'm always on the campaign. I'm in my car right now. I'm always on the road. It's ridiculous. But yeah, no, we're staying busy. And we're out to win this thing. So.
Hell yeah, I love that.
I have to choose between groceries and rent. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. We can't live like this any longer. Working class people can no longer do this. If you're poor, the system's stacked against you, and that's not fair.
Thank you so much again. I really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk about your amazing campaign and excellent policy positions. You are a socialist, right?
I am.
Love that.
I am. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So first things first, I wanted to ask how you are doing as you are spending these last couple of days just grinding it out.
I'm tired, to be honest with you.
I believe that, yeah.
We're going 1,000 miles an hour every day. It's been a lot of positive reception. People love the message. They love a pro working class message. Even Republicans do. You know, it really just people here just want someone to listen to them. And I come from the hills and hollers like people here. You know, I've been a community organizer and activist across the state for a while, so it's taken me to where I very much know the state like the back of my hand. I know the needs here, and we just keep going. We've spoken to union halls, we've spoken to all kinds of people, and it's been great so far.
Hell yeah! I guess one of the things that I would like to know, since you are taking all of the time that is necessary to teach people about class solidarity if they're not familiar, that has earned you the title of educator as well as Senate candidate on the campaign trail.
Gosh, a lot. So I mean, the biggest things I've heard talk about in West Virginia for people, the addiction crisis is one of them. I come from a very compassionate approach. I've been with the organizers doing harm reduction across the state, trying to keep people alive. So I think we need from a federal level, heavy investments of federal funds into recovery centers, help people get into recovery. We also need a big public awareness campaign to teach people that engaging in harm reduction is not something that should be stigmatized or something that's evil. You're really just helping keep people alive and helping them through that time in their life. Right now, we, in America, we love to keep pushing the prison complex that we have. We keep feeding people to prison. And what's that doing? It's not doing anything good for anybody. All it's doing is in West Virginia specifically, loves to arrest people here who are addicted, and then they throw them in jail. And when they get out of jail, now they have that record in a place where there's no jobs really available. Now they can't even get the jobs that are available.
Right.
It just continues to cycle, and I'm very much against that. So I come from a very big place of compassion for that. We need to help people where they are and keep people alive. I'm very big on a renewable energy coming to West Virginia. I push solar panels very hard here, and I also do that through worker solidarity, through looking out for miners, for instance. So I very much back that justified transition line very heavily. But what's that look like? For me, I want to bring the manufacturing jobs here to build solar panels. And I've talked to manufacturers, I've talked to installers. It's easily doable. We just have to have the political willpower to do it. And then I've talked to miners, and people want the miners want a plan B for themselves, which is absolutely right. So I advocate very heavily on free training, keep the wages the same, union jobs. Once the manufacturing sites are built, the miners have the first come to those jobs. Abortion is another one I talk about. I don't shy away from the word abortion. I think we need to destigmatize that word. It is something that happens. It's none of my business. No one in a suit and ties business and government to tell what someone should do with their body. And that's been actually very taken very well so far in West Virginia. I haven't had a lot of pushback on that. if you would have asked me 2 years ago, yeah, it probably would have been a lot more pushback, but not so much anymore. But yeah, that's just some of the few things that I really push here. I push for unions heavily. I talk about I very much talk about the class struggle here, and I put it in people's perspectives of like, hey, I come from where y'all are at. I come from the same. I had the same struggles. I've had to choose between bills. It sucks. I've had the emergency where it'll set me back, and my life savings is now gone. Whatever I had, because I had to go to the hospital one time, and insurance wouldn't cover it. I get it, and I try to put that into perspective, so they understand where I'm coming from. And I've very much said in most of my talks, West Virginia, we've been ran by coal barons, millionaires, and family dynasties. And now we have a chance to actually put someone there from the working class, and we're all in the working class in West Virginia. We need to realize that. So yeah, I've been pushing different types of messaging. We've been engaging in mutual aid across the board. Yeah, you name it, we're fighting.
That's important. That's important to show how you are looking to build solidarity and also engage in support for the community to help them prosper in lieu of failed policies that either don't go far enough or just don't exist. That has left so many people in West Virginia incredibly desperate. And I think it's really important to try to find the language to communicate that even though you have right-wing talking points and pundits and talking heads who are constantly shouting from the rooftops that this is about, the will to pull yourself up by the bootstraps, West Virginia is, I think, ground zero for what unfettered capitalism can do to an entire state. And that's an economic crisis that more people are starting to become aware of, but it's been going on for so long in West Virginia that it's really sad to see how some people have just become accustomed to having nothing. And therefore, when they hear about these big pie-in-the-sky policy plans or these endeavors to make people's lives better, sometimes they either panic or they just simply cannot believe a candidate is willing to do something that would make their lives so much better because of the neoliberal policies that most of the time haven't even reached a lot of people in West Virginia.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the biggest things for me being a outside candidate. I'm not establishment. I'm very much I'm doing this on my own. So it resonates across the board with West Virginians. Right wing, left wing Democrats, and whatever have you. When I'm talking to a group of people, it's resonating with everybody. I have Republicans come to me all the time, and I very much will say, look, if I'm in a room full of Republicans, I'll say, look, I do not bend on social issues. We will probably disagree on that, but I'm not going to bend on my beliefs there, and I'm not going to back down on human rights. We will talk economics, sure, we can talk economics, but when it comes down to social issues, I'm not bending. And I find a lot more people really appreciate that I'm being very upfront about that than trying to, play the political little tap dance game around them. As I looked at a whole room just a couple weeks ago and said, look, I'm not here to pander to you. I'm here to tell you exactly what I believe and who I am. So I mean, we're gonna have to take that, or you can hate me or love me, either way. But this is who it is. And I find a lot of people really respect that you don't have that in politics anymore.
Exactly. And I did take a look at your proposals, and to be running in West Virginia and to say free Palestine and to be an advocate for LGBTQ plus rights. That is an amazing thing to see. You are in the big gay house right now, so we do appreciate you recognizing the need to offer those protections to some of the most vulnerable people, and that absolutely includes everyone in West Virginia as well. I think it's really important to showcase that you can, with the right kind of initiatives, reach across the aisle and find support in areas that you might not have been expecting because of the promise to make people's lives better on the economic front.
I mean, it comes down to that's where the whole. I mean, for me, that's where the whole socialist part comes into it. I mean, it's class solidarity, and we all need to recognize. I mean, the working class is not all going to believe the same way, in one aspect, and we have to find your way into the door to to get that, to at least get the people to recognize that they're all in the class struggle with you.
Right.
And then I find that with economics. Like, I mean, I've been on porches, and people will be engaging in some social issues. I'm like, look, you can believe that all you want to, but your road's falling apart. Where's the nearest job center? It's like an hour away. That should be your immediate concern, not a social issue. It's not even bothering you right now. You need to be worried about your family, and that's why I'm here right now trying to talk to you about what's going on in your life and how someone at a federal level could actively help you and your community. And that usually gets through to people when I talk to them just how I talked to you just now. Like, I'm just being upfront about it. Like, look, man, I'm not here to correct how you believe. That's a long conversation, and I'm glad to have it. But right now, we need to worry about the fact is you can't feed your family.
Right.
So let's fix it. So,
has that been a continuous theme that you have seen on the campaign trail? The evangelical Christian beliefs that have kind of been a little bit of a challenge to move through, or
I haven't had too much of the evangelical Christians yet because I'm still in the primary.
Right.
The Republicans I pick up are usually they don't seem to be too much on the evangelical right, so I haven't encountered them just yet, to be honest. I can probably assume that it's going to be very much a harder struggle to get through. But I've like I said, I mean, I've encountered a couple, and it comes down to they will at least walk away respecting where I come from. We're not going to agree on anything. I mean, I've had one guy literally agree with me on nothing. And as I was driving away, he said, "You know what, man, you're the only guy that's ever talked to me about what I believe, so I'll vote for you." Which is it's like, oh, that's shocking. All right, but that's kind of how it really goes in West Virginia. As I said, people here are just desperate to be heard.
Yeah.
That's why if you look at 2016, Bernie Sanders was doing very well here in West Virginia. He could have beat Donald Trump by the polls, but he wasn't the nominee, so people went with Donald Trump. Why? Because Trump had both populist messages. One was left, one was right wing. And for me, Trump conned West Virginia because West Virginians are so desperate for someone to listen to them.
Yep.
So that's why I don't say it's not necessarily a Republican-held state. It's a state held in desperation. You just need the right person with the right messaging. And it has to be someone from the working class, someone with a populist message, and from the left. If you ask me. So.
I think that in order to actually encapsulate a large enough audience of people from the left and the right and even the center, you do have to have a populist message. But I would like to think that there would be more promise for somebody who is honest and upfront about what you plan to do, and having no political establishment ties, I think, is probably working in your favor, as opposed to if you do win the primary, you will be going up against Jim Justice in the general, who is obviously at one point was the only billionaire in West Virginia, is the current governor. He originally ran as a Democrat, almost immediately moved to the Republican side, and if I recall correctly, one of the things that he did with the COVID relief money that was given to the state was to offer it to some of the richest people in West Virginia to give them tax breaks. I'm not sure where that investigation with the state treasury department is, but that's who you are running up against, potentially. So he
essentially did that. He did a COVID lottery where all the big prizes went to his friends. No surprise.
Right.
And then also the rest were like the money just didn't get spent, and then the Republicans used it as a talking point to say, "Look how much money we've saved." And now the federal government's knocking on West Virginia's door saying, "Hey, we want our money back." And now the state's in a panic because I guess they don't understand that if you don't spend federal money, the government's going to come get it back. So
they absolutely did that with the rental relief money. You had to spend it within a certain time, and there was no administrative office, I guess, that was issuing that money, and they ended up having to forego any money that was given to them, to the bigger states who had, shown that they can
that's why if you want
money out.
Yeah, if you want to fight someone like Jim Justice, like I said, I'm the antithesis of Jim Justice. That's why I've been saying, like, if you want to fight, it can't be a diet Joe Manchin or Joe Manchin himself, which we saw Senator Manchin wasn't going to make it anyways. I think I think he went ahead and retired because he knew he couldn't beat Jim Justice. Having someone with similar policies isn't going to do it. People are tired of that. People want to see that that actual class struggle. That's what I've been saying. Like, you can choose between the company store or the working man. Jim Justice is the epitome of a company store. So in West Virginia, West Virginia's been ran by the company store for decades, and we have such a rich labor and union history. Like, if anybody should look up the Battle of Blair Mountain and look up the mine wars if you haven't before. It's such a rich, beautiful history here with unions and labor, and sadly I think we've forgotten it, but we've forgotten only to a little bit where you just need to remind people of that, and I think it really resonates. Kind of got off topic there, but yeah, Jim Justice. I think he is absolutely beatable. It will be hard, 100%. We know that, but I mean, if you have the right message, which I do, I can thread that needle. I fully believe I can, and I think we can pull ahead. It'll take a lot of hard work, but I've been doing it every day. I've been doing this for a while on this race. It continues on.
Well, I think that you're well on your way to giving Jim Justice one hell of a run. That's for sure. Do we have any questions in the chat? I want to make sure that I open that up for questions, and then I, of course, have more questions. But I just want to make sure that I'm giving chat an opportunity to ask their questions as well. And somebody said, good riddance to Manchin. Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
bye.
that's how we all feel.
I mean, I think that Joe Manchin and Jim Justice would effectively be the same candidate. I think that we have seen Joe Manchin caucus far too many times with the Republicans, and I think that you wouldn't see too much of a discernible difference between the two, to be honest.
I have like some weird alliances going on with the Justice and Manchin families.
Oh, I believe that they're the few families that have a little bit to their name. There's more of a class alliance between those two families, and they know how to protect their own.
Absolutely.
What do you want most people in West Virginia to know about you? Says Kitty Splain.
Sure. I'm native West Virginian. I was raised on a farm. I couldn't afford college, so I joined the Marine Corps. I did 5 years in the Marines. My father, when I came back to West Virginia to take care of my grandmother, and I just didn't like what I saw here, so I dived into community organizing and activism. And it really is just history for that. I did a lot of mutual aid. I've started my own organization doing mutual aid. That fell apart because everything falls apart on the left at some point. I continued forward fighting for legislation, just trying to do what's right by people and help people. And frankly, if you want to know about me, it just comes down to is I'm just a guy who got fed up, and I wanted to do something about it. So here we are, and I think I'm doing a pretty good job at causing some good trouble in West Virginia and fighting for the right reasons.
All right, excellent. What needs to happen to bring better paying jobs to a place like West Virginia?
That comes, like I said, it comes down to you need to fight for unions very heavily here. We have to repeal the Taft-Hartley Act for one, to fight right to work. Pass the PRO Act is another one on the federal level. And then for me, like I said, if you start bringing the manufacturing jobs to build solar here is my biggest thing, because it is doable. Right now, we buy all of our solar panels from China. Well, not all of them, but most of them. Let's make West Virginia the new economic hub. I'm so tired of seeing my state be left behind. We cling to coal so hard, and no matter what it is, Democrat or Republican in office, coal is not going to be a thing in the next 20 years. I don't see it being in America. And I have a family. I have a family of miners. As I said, I want to take care of miners, but we have to get the ball rolling on the renewable energy sector. But so really for me, bring manufacturing jobs here, union jobs, and we essentially almost need a new deal for infrastructure in West Virginia. Our roads and bridges are so bad here; it's ridiculous. So unless it's an election year, and Jim Justice paves the road to Charleston. So
Well, I'd love to hear that, championing the rights of workers all across the state. My question that I want to kind of throw in before I get to the rest of chats, is there an update to the ecological crisis, even though coal is a beloved part of our history, how that makes the case even more so for renewable energy moving forward?
Right now there's some good media coverage going on from these abandoned well sites in Wyoming County, where these mines have left hundreds of abandoned wells, where now they're poisoning the streams in Wyoming County. People are still going in McDowell County and Gary, West Virginia, still don't have clean drinking water. I was just at a thing just a couple weeks ago handing out fresh water to the community, and that's being headed up by organizers on the ground. It's not even. Also the town. I would say the town sends people as well. But what's the state government doing? We don't know. Like I said, it's being kept. So much of this has come from organizers on the ground that's been fighting for this for so long, and it's finally getting coverage. So the water crisis here is still very prevalent, and we still need to fight for it. And that's what you have to get the right person in these offices to fight for. So many of our politicians just keep ignoring it because they just don't care. They're bought off by the coal industry. Don't get me started on ramp.
No, please, if you want to, by all means.
And then you have MVP going, the Mountain Valley Pipeline going through West Virginia. I think it's being built very quickly. I know a lot of the environmentalists there are trying to fight back best they can, but they're moving quickly on it. I think they're trying to get them tied up in court again. I didn't read the article, but I saw one of the pipes just burst under testing, which is exactly what we've been saying for a while now, that these pipes will burst if you maximize. Under MVP, they're only allowed to operate at like 30% capacity in the pipes.
Okay.
I'm not sure why, probably because the hills it's going through. But we all know in capitalism and corporate America, they're going to make that thing go 100% or 90%, and which is not capable. What the pipe is not capable of holding, and it'll end up busting. Which they just tested. I believe they just tested it and it busted. So now that's a whole concern as well. So we're still very deep in the ecological fight in West Virginia, trying to turn that around.
I also remember that Jim Justice once said that West Virginians don't need to drink clean water, or they don't require as much water, so it was kind of okay. That comment that he made still resonates with me. Again, I can't believe he's the guy who's gonna win the primary, and that's a psychotic statement. I'm not lying. Not only did he tell, who did he tell to kiss his dog's asshole, but he also said that maybe people in West Virginia don't need clean water.
It was like Bette
Midler
or something. Yeah, because she insulted West Virginia, so he held up his bulldog's ass and told everyone to kiss its hiney. And this is because he's an embarrassing man. That's just why we can't have him in the U.S. Senate, because West Virginia just can't suffer anymore. So,
honestly, it's not so bad to tell. Somebody who insults West Virginia, you deserve to be told to fuck off. But
sure.
what a
just maybe not in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I'm a big proponent of decorum, but hey, dude, you're not really helping make the case that people in West Virginia aren't wild people.
When you hold up your entire dog's butt.
Yeah.
And he has it on a commercial now.
Oh gosh.
So
so he's not even maybe I shouldn't have done that.
No. Oh no.
Is there a lot of money? Oh, sorry. Got another question.
Go ahead.
Is there a lot of money being dumped in the campaign by the parties or PACs? Is there a lot of money being dumped into the campaign by the parties or PACs? I believe they're probably talking about your opponents. If there's any special interest groups who see you as a threat to the point that they are helping to fund your opponents' campaigns.
Oh, certainly. I'm 99% grassroots funded. All my donations are small. We have donors across America. We're bringing in good money, but like I said, I'm purely grassroots. Our opponent, I can't remember what he off the top of the head. I think he was I don't want to give a wrong number. So it was definitely a lot lower on the grassroots side of things. The average donation was $300 for him. Mine was $20.
Oh,
so,
okay.
and so it's coming from very much to me a class struggle in that aspect. If you want to get it to the Republican side of things, they have millions of dollars of special interest groups, super PACs, what have you. For the Democrat side of things, I mean, Senator Manchin is backing my opponent in the primary, and then you have Don Blankenship, who I don't really count as a opponent whatsoever. So,
nor should you. Hey, listen. If he's found with a rope tied around his neck, he didn't kill himself.
He didn't do it.
He's just not a serious person. And I think that he knows it. He's also kind of like the epitome of all that's wrong with unfettered capitalism in West Virginia, and the reason why we need to ensure that, and this is just my 2 cents, especially when there's a crucial need to look at rebuilding the economy in West Virginia. Economic vitality has a chance to have a fresh start, and how, as a socialist, you're in a really good position to fight for worker co-ops, as opposed to, the way that we currently see our corporate structures or our companies.
Absolutely.
Have you had a lot of luck talking to people about the benefit of worker co-ops, or is that something that would come a little later? That's going
to come later.
Yeah. That was the one thing that I was kind of curious about, if it was something that had been brought up either in passing or at your town halls or whatever. That gives me a little bit of hope, actually. Let's see if
no, it hasn't been brought up too much. I mean, it's very much out there. There's a whole Guardian article about it. So I mean, it's very quick. Type my name into Google and you'll see it there. So I mean, but it hasn't been brought up too much. I think it's been brought up a few times, and I've had to very light discussions about it, but people very much usually accept where I'm coming from and like the ideas. So then that's kind of the whole point is to finally get it on a bigger platform like Bernie Sanders did back in the day, and try to keep furthering to where people aren't so afraid of the word so much. And like I said, Republicans have honestly helped that, because once you call everybody a socialist, it really just it's like the what's the name, the boy who cried wolf, like, well, who is a socialist, who's on a socialist to the Republican Party. So it's one of those things where it's been watered down so much now, it opens the conversation up being easier.
Oh, I believe that. I think it's also a perfect opportunity to do what you say that you do. It's reminding those who are, maybe touting that McCarthyism, that you are the one who is, after all, offering to put food on tables. So can't be that scary. So that's let's get to another question. Asking about talked about the crumbling infrastructure. Absolutely. Has APAC donated to your opponent yet? Has APAC made its way into West Virginia yet?
I haven't seen APAC make any heavy donations yet. There's been I think there's one person who's affiliated with APAC who's donated to his campaign, but I don't know if I can classify that as APAC itself. APAC is sure as hell not going to donate to me. So, I don't know about the Republican side. I'm going to go ahead and assume they have, but for my primary opponent, I know there's at least one person there who has thrown just throwing a little bit of money there, but I don't know if that's enough to tie it in or not, to be honest with you. I don't want to spread false information on that. So
that's fair. I think it kind of ties to another question about how much funding has been put into opponents' races, knowing that you do stand with Palestinians and believe that they have a right to exist.
I've actually
if I'm speaking out of turn.
You're fine.
All right.
I've actually outraised all my opponents. Like I said, for being a grassroots candidate, I've outraised them all by a decent amount. So, for the Democrat side, not the Republicans. The Democrat side things, I've outraised them. The Republicans are billions of dollars ahead with their super PACs, and so I mean, like I said, I came out as pro pro ceasefire, fight for Palestine very early on, and I haven't had that. It hasn't come up. I mean, I'm very open about it, so it hasn't been an issue. Like I said, I don't think it's very much an issue here in West Virginia, so to speak, when people are when you're worried about how you're going to make ends meet, so to speak. I've had the question come up, and I just answered honestly. Like how do you feel about Israel and Gaza? And I say, I mean, I'm pro ceasefire, and I think what's happening is a genocide. And, if you want to talk to me about it, let's talk about it. But I mean, we're going to be here for a while, so.
I think that I was kind of curious to hear how the evangelical right, who it sounds like you haven't had to deal with too much, would be pro-Israel because of their Christian values that support Israel, and
that's going to be
it's another story.
It's going to be an experience that we haven't dealt with just yet. But
well, I hope you do. I hope you do have to deal with some of those far-right Christian fundamentalists in the general election. As difficult as it might be.
We will. We will. But it's just in the day, I'm being myself and maintaining what I believe, and we'll see where we land. But I really do think I can thread the needle on that. And if we want to dive into how if we want to dive into Christianity, we can do that too. I can dive in, and we can argue about that all day too, about how people should be treated. So I mean, like I said, if the evangelical right wants to swing, I can swing back.
I love to hear that. I feel like they have a lot of power and influence that I would love to see shut the fuck down. Are content to just abandon West Virginia altogether. I think they have already kind of done that. It's like they've already shown their commitment to leave West Virginians to their own devices. Do West Virginians support Palestine much at all? Oh, we kind of talked about that.
I mean, it depends on where you're.
Yeah.
It depends on where you're at. I mean, I think people are very much kind of ignorant on the subject. I think most Americans are, not just West Virginians. I think most Americans are ignorant on that entire subject, mostly due to our education system and how history is taught. So that's a long discussion.
Exactly. Something that I also noticed when I was looking at your policies, I like that you are including racial justice as part of your platform. And West Virginia isn't known to be a very diverse state, but is that a way to help those in West Virginia who are not familiar with the importance of class solidarity and kind of getting past the talking points that they might have picked up on Fox News to tell them that the reason why you don't have a job is because, the Mexicans from the southern border are coming and stealing them? Or
it's kind of both, really. It is more to educate people on that. Also, I mean, I do believe we need to really fight for, we have historical black colleges in West Virginia that are owed money that we need that need to have money to. I do think we should easily invest in black-owned businesses, in a way to give back. So I mean, this is like really from the policy that I'm just saying is like almost, I'm trying to get the door to kick open in America to have that conversation, to expand in what it needs to be. So I mean, it's needed, and just having that policy out there also engages those conversations with a lot of people who otherwise will never hear about it. Otherwise, or like you said, they'll hear about it on Fox News, and that's it. So I'm trying to branch that conversation where it's not just right-wing media always hammering people.
Hell yeah.
And we want to talk about I've had a conversation about the border as well. I mean, for me, the room was mixed when I said it. I'm like, well, if you really want to engage in why there's a border crisis, then we should talk about U.S. foreign policy and why we meddle in Central and South American economies and collapse economies and hold coups. I mean, let's really talk about how much problems American foreign policy causes. And when countries collapse, what do you think people are going to do? They're going to go to the only place that has an economy, and that's us, thanks to us. So if you want to blame someone, you have to blame American foreign policy for this crisis, and treating people like they're not people, is absurd. And I've put that right back on a lot of Republicans too, saying, I mean, that could easily be you and your family seeking refuge. You know, how would you do? Would you want a barbed barrel being thrown at you in a river? That's ridiculous. Because you're trying to get your family across. That's ridiculous. I mean, I think really much those conversations too have to be made very personal, so people can understand. Because right wing media is very good at making it not personal. They're making it more. They have the fear element to it. But when you put it back on them and say, "What if it's you?" It could easily be you. I mean, we're all close here. We're all have more in common with we have more in common. I don't know how do you just say this? You have more in common with a man who's homeless than someone who's rich.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest things I push. It's the same thing. You have more in common with someone. You could easily be homeless with a snap of a finger, but being rich, nah. Let's be honest. So.
That's also something that I think is important to, include in any kind of rhetoric. If you rely on somebody else to cut you a check, you're a worker. Whether or not you are in the suburbs, whether or not you're on the street working part-time. I also do appreciate that you have taken a compassionate stance for addicts who are suffering from diseases of despair. And it's part of the housing policies that I support, Housing First, that includes offering permanent supportive housing as well as those services to help integrate people back into society. That sounds like something that would be of interest to you as part of your housing policies as well. On top
Absolutely.
of you support regulations, expanding on our Section 9 or public housing. That's really important. I'm not too familiar with the housing stock in West Virginia, but I know that there's some Section 8 housing and vouchers that are available. I do appreciate, though, you looking beyond just one component of the affordable housing paradigm that has been by and large a failure, and bringing back public housing, which is absolutely necessary. Have you had any strange pushback on that front when talking about public housing
not
supporting better housing policies in general?
No, not really. When I do bring it up, people very much are engaged in that. I don't think that conversation's happened a lot in West Virginia, so I don't think there's a lot of pushback on it because people don't really sure. I mean, so when I'm talking about it, I'm the first one to really talk about it.
Right.
And and how. So I mean, and how are they going to argue with it when you're arguing against people having homes? So that it really gives the narrative control to us, the aspect of the Republicans will never talk about it, and the Democrats, depending on which one you talk to, will touch on it. But so yeah, very very much. Yeah, I mean, it is a for West Virginia at least, it is a good time to push that because it's not something we hear too often here. So yeah, that makes sense.
No, it does. I'm realizing that I keep asking you, like, how are the people in West Virginia responding to you, like, showing that you care about them, which is kind of sad because I'm sure that it's kind of a shock to have a candidate who is willing to fight as hard as you are for them. I think that speaks to just the level of neglect that a lot of people from West Virginia have experienced, and it's just sad that they seem to just have very little faith in any leadership to do right by them. So I'm sure that you're just a breath of fresh air for them, even those who might be ideologically opposed to you on social issues.
Like I said, yeah, I've had so many Republicans come to me, and I'll talk, and and we won't agree on a social issue, and they'll say, well, hey, you know what? I'll vote for you in the general because you didn't yell at me and you actually heard me out. I'm like, well, I'm not going to yell at you. I mean, it's not going to get us anywhere. I'm going to tell you, like, your belief can't be pushing others. Mm-hmm. I think it's like someone's never actually. It was over marriage equality. It's like just because you don't believe marriage equality doesn't mean you get to push that on others. That's not their problem. That's your own belief. So I mean, it's just keep that's.
You're such a better person than I am, because I would be like, hey man, it sounds like there is an ideological belief that you are trying to shove down somebody else's throat. Where have we heard that before? You sounds like it's a gender or sex related ideology that you feel hell-bent on upholding. So I mean, that's keeping it cool.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Well, I mean, I've been around it for so long. It's to say, and it's one of those beliefs that you think the Republican Party would let go at this point. But like you said, the evangelical Christians hold on to it so hard. So, but like I said, just having that conversation, I said, look, just because you believe that way doesn't mean you get to affect other people. That's like if someone else believes a different way than you do, they get to now affect your life. How would that feel? And then they sit there and go, well, it wouldn't feel good at all. I'm like, exactly. So like, you can have your belief, but don't put it on others. And they're like, oh, I've never had it put that way before to me. I'm like, I don't know, who have you been talking to?
Well,
So,
there's a little bit of a bubble in West Virginia for sure. Are you part of DSA?
the DSA, there's a long conversation there. I tried to reinvigorate the DSA in West Virginia, but we couldn't get off the ground. So I believe the DSA here is they have disbanded. The National disbanded DSA in West Virginia.
Oh, okay.
So there were 2 chapters here. I think one might still be mildly active. I've kind of lost touch with them. There's only a few members. I know all of them because most of them are organizers. But the one up in northern part of West Virginia might still be chartered, but I'm not sure.
I see. Okay. Do you have a lot of door knocking volunteers in your campaign? Do you have these conversations with folks?
I have we have hundreds of volunteers. We just started our door knocking operations. I've been already door knocking for a while now. So a lot of these conversations I've been having myself. I don't think our door knockers are having much of the conversation because people are more interested in talking to the actual candidate. When you have a regular door knocker, they're like, okay, I'll take this information. So, yeah.
Broadband for all. Somebody said, yes, I agree with broadband for all. How do you feel about...
Lord knows we need broadband. Well, the fact that I'm pulled over right now on the side of the road is because I had to find an area with service to do this phone call. So, I mean, yeah, we need broadband badly in West Virginia.
I'm sure it's a very similar issue in West Virginia where privately owned corporations are playing some role in the monopolization of public utilities that has price gouged.
Yep. So it's electric or water. We pay some of the highest prices in the entire country. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's electric, but it's insane.
If you're paying a high price for water in West Virginia, only to still be served polluted water, I'm sorry, that's poisoning people, I can't imagine that either. Like, I guess it's hard to believe that there's not more of a campaign against the poisoning of wells, but perhaps it's just people who are not able to fight don't know what to do.
Well, it's a lot of people don't know what to do, and you're caught in your 9 to 5. Mm-hmm. You're caught just trying to make ends meet. So you have, there's not a lot of option you can do. People are stuck in survival mode. And every now and then you've had organizers, like the abandoned well site. There's been a guy on the ground here. He's been banging the drum for a while now, trying to get people to notice. And my campaign came down there, and we started, beating the drum with him. And then more people showed up, started beating the drum with him. More organizers showed up, and now he's getting media attention. Now it's getting national news coverage.
Hell yeah! So
it takes everybody to come down and shed a light on. That's one of my portions of my campaign is I want to shed a light on these issues and go, hey, this is happening in West Virginia. This is happening in 2024 America. There's our state over here is an extraction state. The fact that if you want to talk about America, there's clean drinking water in West Virginia is. I grew up not drinking the tap water.
Yeah.
And I don't know a lot of people that did. So it's one of those things. So it's like people aren't aware, and I'm very much trying to give awareness to that. Like, hey, there's a struggle going on in my home.
All right. And last question. I think we kind of touched on this. This is kind of a question that was asked earlier, but you have a wealth of knowledge about class struggle, about the realities of the ecological crisis in West Virginia. If there is one thing that you wish West Virginians knew, that what would that be?
It would have to be, honestly, it just comes down to, you have to realize that we're all in this together. You're not a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. You're not an actual cat. You don't own capital. You know, you're stuck in the same struggle I'm stuck in. You know, and that's what we all need to realize here in West Virginia. And that's where the old class solidarity comes into play. I mean, you work out your differences over that time, but people truly need to come together. Like we have to stop being ruled over by these millionaires, billionaires, coal barons, or large families. They're large, rich families. They're trying to take over the entire state. It's absurd. West Virginia, I see, is a blueprint for what America could be if we don't fight back hard enough. You have a literally family dynasty to try and take over the entire state, or coal barons. It's ridiculous. So
there's more of us than there are of them.
Just realize the fact that you have to realize the fact is we have to fight for ourselves. You have to fight for your communities. And you need to get someone elected up there like myself who will stay in touch, stay in communication with the people on the ground, so the top knows what's happening on the ground, so it can actually be a well-functioning machine. And people on the ground always have to fight to get their voices start to the top, and I'm tired of it. So
that is the perfect message, I think, to end the conversation. We have some links in the chat. Do you want to give a final shout out to the chat? Let people know where they can find you if they're interested in learning more.
Yeah, absolutely. Just go to shrewsburyforsenate.com. So SHREWSBURY, shrewsburyforsenate.com. I'll have my policy points on there. My email, you can always reach out to me by email, and I try to respond best I can. And I'm also on all socials. I mean, Facebook, X, TikTok, Threads, Instagram. I'm there. Just type in Shrewsbury for Senate, or you type in Zach Shrewsbury on Google, and you'll find something about me.
All right.
So, yeah.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and best of luck in the rest of your campaigning. I'm in your corner. You've got my endorsement, and I'm excited to see you potentially go up against Jim Justice in November.
Absolutely. Wade. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it. I appreciate it all.
Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye. Felt that. Take that. We all need to work together and run it with the dramatic lo-fi. We all need to be working together in solidarity, and also have hip-hop lo-fi beats to chill and relax to in the background, just to keep the tempo. I'm sorry, chat. I made a note to turn that off, and I did not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4.